So let's just get started right away with talking about what you can do pre-presentation, what you can do before you actually deliver your presentation. And it all goes back to the sales process that you're trying to take a prospect through. The prospect that you're delivering a presentation to, they are in your sales process. You are taking them through a series of steps. And the biggest improvement that you can make is organizing the actual steps that you're trying to take them through. And so we recommend 3 sales process steps. If what I talk about here you want more information on, it is outlined in a training module specifically on how to manage and organize your sales process, and that is on our YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out. But at a higher level, or moving through that real quickly, there are 3 steps that we recommend you go through, and it starts with the first step is the interaction. So this is when you're interacting with the prospect for the first time. Could be a cold call, could be an email. Then you typically want to progress to some sort of more established conversation where you're talking in more detail, and then you can progress to some sort of explanation step of your sales process. And this is really where the presentation usually resides. The problem that most salespeople make is that they jump from the first interaction. Maybe it's a cold call, they're talking to someone, and then they try to schedule a meeting, but that meeting is the explanation where they're trying to show a demonstration or show a presentation. And what they're skipping here is they're basically skipping the conversation. And so when someone jumps to just let me show up and talk about my product, what they're typically using is a product selling approach, a product selling sales message where they're talking primarily about this is who I work for, this is what we sell, this is what it does. And that's where they start to engage with the prospect, and then they jump real quickly to talking about all of these things. What we recommend you do, and we've been talking about this a lot in other training modules, is we want to move you to more of a consultative approach where you're focusing more on the prospect, how you can help them, asking good questions. And so to transition to more of a consultative approach, basically what you want to do is you really want to focus on that conversation step before the presentation, because this is where you're going to focus more on the prospect and less on you. The explanation is all about you. The conversation is all about the prospect. And so if we talk about those steps in more detail, just to skip through this really quickly, like I said, the interaction step is really when you're interacting the first time. This could be the cold call or the email. But what I really want to drill into is what most salespeople often skip is that conversation. And the real key thing about the conversation, this is where you have a great opportunity to ask your questions. And it's asking questions and gathering information about the prospect before you deliver your presentation that really make a difference. So going through this process here, the conversation step could be anywhere between 10 to 60 minutes, but this is where you could ask pain questions to learn about what pain points your prospect has. So you can really learn about what's going on. This is where you could ask current state questions where you're trying to identify what are they doing today? What are they using today, where in terms of where you have something to sell or where you have something to provide. And then this is where you could qualify the prospect to learn more about what their role is, what their budget is, what their needs are. And honestly, in the conversation step, you might identify it doesn't even make sense for you to deliver a presentation because the prospect's not qualified. And the great thing about that is that if you skip this step and you deliver a presentation, then you might end up delivering a presentation to a prospect that it doesn't make sense for you to spend your valuable time presenting to them. And then that's just wasted time. So this step could prevent you from wasting your valuable time. But the other thing that it does is it provides you with valuable information, and then you can make your presentation more about the prospect, tailor your presentation, and that's really where you start to deliver sales presentations that close deals. Then the third step of the sales process is the explanation, and this is actually where you're delivering your presentation. So when I show you the recommended outline for your presentation, that will give you some ideas of how to organize this step of your sales process. Now, you might go through those 3 steps with a prospect as 3 separate conversations. You talk to them on a cold call or at a networking event, then you have an appointment, then you have a presentation. It's very likely that those steps can get combined or condensed. And what you could certainly do, even if you just talk to them and then schedule your presentation, if you haven't had a chance to meet with them, you could have your conversation at the beginning of your demonstration, meaning before you deliver your presentation, ask them some questions questions, learn about them, and then on the fly, right after that, immediately you can tailor everything you talk about after that to what you've learned just then about them. We call this the instant explanation. So you're basically having a meeting and an explanation at the same time. Another way this could look like is that you talk to them in the initial interaction, and that's a good opportunity for you to ask some more questions and learn more about them before you meet again for the demonstration or presentation. And we refer to this as the instant meeting. Now, the key thing here is really not how you organize these steps, but the key thing is that you're learning about the prospect by asking good questions and using that information to improve your sales presentation, your sales demonstration. Another thing that you could do is before your presentation, you could research the prospect. So of course you could go to their website or their product materials and learn more about what the company does in terms of the products they sell. I don't know how many times I've attended a sales presentation demonstration where the salesperson didn't even really look at what we do. And not only does that prevent the salesperson from really tailoring what they're going to show you, but it shows that that salesperson does not have a lot of initiative and curiosity about me as a prospect. Now, certainly you could have a lot of different prospects and deliver many presentations in one day, so you don't have much time to do extensive research, but you could at least just go to their website for 5 minutes, even 3 minutes, and just get an idea of what that prospect sells and does. You might want to go a step further to kind of look at how is the company organized. And, when you're selling to big B2B customers, they have different business units, kind of try to understand who they are. That can make a difference in your presentation. You might want to review the prospect that you're talking to, their social media account. For example, you might want to go to that prospect's LinkedIn profile, learn a little bit more about how they fit in the organization. You might want to learn a little bit about what roles that they've had in the past. Not only can this help you with your sales presentation, but it could help you to build rapport, have some conversation on the front end, and just show that you've taken initiative. You also might want to go through and scan some recent news on the company. You could go do this on their website or an independent internet search on news events related to that company. This can definitely give you stuff to talk about, help you tailor your message.